am the kind of person who I can watch something and completely hate it and be completely happy with you enjoying it, right? My opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, I have my opinion, and it's generally very opinionated. But I also don't care that people disagree with me.
Yeah.
I also don't mind that you absolutely love something, because I am happy for you. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people involved in making this happen, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Goosework again for the millionth time. And this is their work, and it is perfectly valid in itself. My opinion on how it left me, obviously it's because I care for the content and I have some sort of passionate opinion about fictional characters, as it turns out. What the fuck? But don't hold it against me.
It's the Convention Creatives. This is technically an emergency episode because even though you're watching this on the day that episode 9 of the Amazing Digital Circus comes out on YouTube, we are recording this having come straight out of the cinemas on the day it came out in theatres because we have so many thoughts in our head. And rather than wait till YouTube Day,
yes,
we're going to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Now.
We haven't even discussed it between us.
No.
We're like rushing to Taxi Man. His wife is about to give birth, and we're like, this is more important. Run now. We need to record the news of the final episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, I think it's good to get it fresh out the page, so to speak. Stream of consciousness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite literally, or I would forget.
As always, before we kick off, a big
Yes.
hello again to Strawberry Cosplay and Fruitbat Cosplay.
Don't you mean like Pomni and Jax?
True.
Yeah.
True. And
Welcome.
it's interesting because as we said, we literally come straight back from the cinema,
Yes.
which, if those of you probably gathered, that means that yes, this is the cosplay. This is what people got to see at the cinema. That's so exciting.
Yeah, this is what the citizens of my small hometown saw.
A small northern town, so we're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Nice. All right. I am very curious. We had a very interesting experience at the cinema. I can't imagine that is anywhere close to yours. So, because otherwise ours will feel like wah wah,
You go first.
we're gonna start with ours first, right? Firstly, I am very proud that as we were entering the building, I was stopped for my Alistair t-shirt. People were like, "Oh, that's sick," and I'm like, "Cool." I was so out of the convention scene moment. And I'm like, why are people stopping me for my shirt? This is so weird. But
that's crazy.
yay. But aside from that, it wasn't very busy. I don't think where we are, there's like a big hubbub for fandom in general. However, as we were leaving the cinema, we were one of the last people to leave. There weren't that many, maybe a cluster of like 10 groups in total. But as we were leaving, there was this guy in the back seat, panicked, kind of like freaking out at his laptop that was open.
Oh, okay.
We were like, is he like live blogging this, or is he on like Twitter right now? Like live
He's on
Yeah.
Tumblr, just like stream of consciousness. Like,
Yeah.
he's actually jotting down his fan fiction as we speak. Just
He literally full on had like this laptop on his lap and like freaking out, like, no, like losing it, right?
what?
And I'm like, were you recording this, sir?
Well,
were you like live streaming it? What is happening?
Well, like, is it allowed to just have a full-on laptop open during?
Why were you allowed in with a laptop?
We did
I
say
would
on
have
the
to have
jet.
gone and asked. I need to know. I need to know what was
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on.
Because he could have just
Yes.
easily turned that around, as you say. Yeah.
I would have been like,
Very, very
are you
curious.
okay?
It was so strange. It's so funny because I said, "Is that allowed?" And Jay said, "Well, they do tell you to turn off your phone, not your laptop."
Yeah.
We
True.
found a loophole.
Yeah. Intel 7 core PC, that's fine, but just as
Yeah.
long as you turn your smartphone off.
Yeah, 3DS. That's okay with us.
Yeah, your 3DS, recording it in stereoscope, two lenses, yeah. Even though the
Taking a
film isn't
rubbing of the
3D.
yeah. It was quite interesting. The only thing that I want to add is that I imagined people gasping and reacting,
No, we had
and it was the most dead experience
Really?
in a cinema. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Crazy. We could never find. Yeah.
When I tell you, I feel like people were bored watching it. The one woman that I like made eye contact with as she was leaving grabbed her cup and just walked out pissed off. She just looked like, okay.
Yeah, she was like, I'm gone. Okay.
Do they know what they were going to see? Do you think?
It was
theory.
Yeah, so we had a very mid audience when it came to reactions.
It was strange.
And then the other thing was, again, just for our cinema specifically, there was some weird audio issues.
Oh my God.
Made it a bit interesting. Not errors, but more volume issue, because the only way I could describe it with my limited terminology is it felt like the treble was very high and the bass wasn't. So
like
anytime...
tinny.
Very tinny.
Yes,
and
that's exactly it.
And, so every time someone with like very peaks, like Kane has a very high
Kane's
speaking voice
was literally hurting my brain.
It very like scratched the ear in an unpleasant way. But then I was wondering numerous things, like, is it just because the cinema are in? Is it because that it's a weird...
Maybe it was so empty?
So empty? Was it because it's mixed for YouTube and not for a cinema? Because they are different things.
We
but
had
again, I don't...
Ours was fine, especially like the bass was high because at certain points in the film, like the big red bit, there's like a very bassy soundtrack playing in the cinema. You could feel it. You could feel the bass.
I didn't think it was a little quiet, but you could hear
it was a little
everything.
quiet, but that also might be because of everything else happening around us that we thought it was quiet.
Oh my God. No, I can genuinely tell you especially when they played between episodes, when they played the opening theme, it was literally hurting my head. The sound was so loud. It was like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It is way too much. But that is more or less our cinema experience.
I was going to say,
Your cinema experience.
A little theory to yours is it one of those cinemas where people can get like tickets monthly to whatever they want? So maybe they turned up to the film being like, oh, it's on our membership, and then maybe didn't know
it was one that had a subscription. There is an unlimited subscription service. So maybe they thought like, yeah, I've got my subscription. Let's find out what this circus is all about. And they're like, what the fuck?
So,
yes.
Our cinema, with a very small cinema screening, I think maybe at most 100 people. At most.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less. Maybe a little bit less.
Maybe 75, maybe a bit less. We walked in about maybe 5 minutes before the movie started because we were just like, we're not going to watch adverts. So that meant it was a full room, full theatre, by the way, of some adults, maybe a handful of adults, almost entirely teenagers who freaked out. We walked in and there was like, oh my God, they're here! Jackson Pomni! People were like hitting each other to get them to look at us. People were turning around. There was people falling over themselves. We were like, we're like celebrities. I was shaking because I was suddenly like, oh my God. It was crazy. And then we sat down and I was like, I'm going to take this off because it's the hat. I took the whole thing off to like sit there.
Yeah, I put my ears into viewing mode, which is basically I can flip them forward.
Kept hitting me in the face with them every time he leant forward to talk to me. But so like throughout this, right, I need you to understand, imagine watching a film with a very excited like 11-year-old.
It's like Rocky Horror Shadowcast. People are interacting with it.
So our screening, I don't know if yours was the same, they played the whole of
Yes.
Every teenager in that room has watched that episode at least 10 times because they knew every single word.
Like verbatim quoting. One guy in there was quoting everything Kane said like
at full volume.
Perfect time.
At full volume.
Which was actually hilarious because we have seen it as well. And like, but it was crazy because like everyone was going like, oh my God, but like talking the whole time. There was so much popcorn spilt.
That was another thing. About 3 times we just hear a clattering on the floor, and then suddenly it's like a disappointed parent being like, "You've dropped your popcorn. What are you going to do?"
No, I had less of it because on my right was like a row of other adults. On your left,
there was a horde of kids who were very excited,
incredibly excited to see us.
One was a professional rage baiter, may I add. She was like, had the phone on, not recording, but was just like waving it at her friends. She kept like slurping ice out of her cup. She was like rustling stuff. And thankfully I was like, oh, it's kids, they're having fun. And I was just laser focused on the screen. But a few times I was like, you are a professional at doing this. You are a professional.
It was
at being trapped in the cinema.
Really funny. And actually, I think I didn't actually mind it, to be honest, because like
It was fun.
It was kind of like
Yeah.
having your internal monologue happening out loud. So everything that happened on the screen, there was a child in the room saying, like narrating what was happening.
It also at one point devolved into a sing along.
Yes,
So
every time
the
the theme played, there was a whole cinema going da 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 da, and like
This episode 8, Kane's song in episode 8.
oh.
Yeah.
Loud singing, like choral.
And we actually didn't sing along because we were like, let them have this. It's okay.
Let them.
It was so funny because like every time anything happened, like I was like, oh man, in my head I was thinking, what's the name of the ship name? Because obviously Funny Bunny is Pomni and Jax. What is the ship name for Raghafer and Pomni? Maybe like, I don't know, Funny Dolly. And then like a child to my left at that exact moment went, Jester Dolly to a friend. And I was like, she knows. It was very funny though. It was great.
I did. I literally just clocked what Funny Bunny is.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so out of
I'm
touch.
surprised they weren't trying to mix names together and it's like a full title when I first found it out.
Yeah. Yeah. What happened to the Brangelina type
Exactly.
of
Like
things,
Hon
right?
Max.
Like, we're gay.
What
so.
happened to gay? Yeah. Oh, Fox isn't. No. Don't want that. Don't want that.
it was great. Though. It
Wild.
was very
Okay.
fun.
Sounds like you had a very different experience to us.
Yeah, I'm surprised yours was so quiet because obviously it's opening night. We kind of expected that it'd be a lot of excited kids, and that's what we got.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's the time we saw it because it wasn't the first showing of the day. So maybe there was probably showings when people come straight out of school. They could
I don't
see
know.
it.
I don't
But
know.
yeah.
Also, where we are at. No, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the kids here watch Breaking Bad instead of.
Well, it was crazy you actually mentioned that because as we were leaving my house, these group of lads made their effort to see us about 30 meters away, come up to us, say something to us that I'm not going to repeat because it was just
it was quite funny.
absolutely stupid. And I wasn't bothered. I just side at them and went, you think you're hilarious, don't you? And that got him more angry.
And then we got an Uber.
I just walked out of the way. I was like, if this is giving you that much of a reaction, hun, that's a problem with you. And on the cinema, we got such an emphatic positive one. So I was like, those who get it. Those who don't,
Yeah.
whatever.
Wild. I'm almost sorry I came up with the concept of, let's record now. I feel like you need to like decompress and de-traumatize yourself
It's
after
fine,
the
don't
evening.
worry.
That was us going to get food. We were like, we need to go eat.
Yeah, we were running on 2 Monsters and sour sweets. So we're like, we should get some proper food. And then we'll call you guys.
Yeah.
That is very valid.
Yeah.
That is very valid. All right.
Yeah.
On to the main event.
Yes.
Shall we?
Yes.
Shall we? I would say let us start with, because everyone's watched episode 8, right? Let's start with our thoughts about episode 8 and what we thought we were going into episode 9, right? Because we all had expectations. We all had something we were like eager to see happen or not see happen or reveals or whatever, right?
Because it was such a wait in between that episode and this one, you know. You can look back as the series as a whole and theorize, you know, what's adding together.
Yeah.
Yes. So I have to say, I think episode 8 is probably one of my favorites. I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I'm not really a big Kane fan, personally. I think Kane and Vox are a little bit too similar, even though many people have argued with me in favor of Kane for that. That said, it is very heavy on Kinger, and I'm obviously a very big Kinger fan.
We love Kinger too. Great character.
And it was nice how they ended up almost making him not a leader, but he kind of led the situation in the end. Thanks to Pomni's guidance. I really liked that. And for some reason, I will just go into what I think 9 was based on 8. I was really looking forward for Kinger to get them out of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
That was my expectation of episode 9. Did it happen?
I think
way to
We'll get
fight
there.
that.
I think it did. I think it did somewhat with what he taught Ponmi and Ragatha to do. Like they were trying to make something out of it, but yeah, it wasn't a full I'm going to.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I went so into the theories and concept about. I really thought going out of 8 and into 9, it would really explore the idea that Jax was the other AI.
I kind of thought that too.
Yeah, because there was a lot of and also some of the.
Yeah.
Going back to the beginning, they did a recap thing, and they always kept referring. It felt like going out of their way to refer to people as humans and not other people and stuff. And I was like, there's so much effort being put around this. So maybe there is something to this idea that Jax is the blue dot, whereas Kane's the red dot.
Yeah, because that was an
answer
answered question, wasn't it? Who the blue?
And I was like, maybe that's why Jax is so desperate to not return to reality, because he knows that he's something subconsciously telling him you don't exist in reality, you're AI. So that was genuinely something I was like, I feel like this is. I knew it was going to be about Jax anyway, but I thought that's where it was going. I really did think that.
Yeah.
We shared our thoughts, didn't we? We thought that either Jax was going to die or abstract. That was our first main thing. Just how he reacted at the end when he was like, "It's all real." I was like, "That's a mentee bee, honey. That's a mentee bee. You're gonna
That's a crash out.
go through it."
Yeah.
We also very much sniffed out the queer coding of Jax's character based on his trauma. We were like, there's going to be some reveal about his backstory where he is, I don't know, marginalized in some way, just because I think as people who have grown around in queer spaces, we understand what that feels like, what that looks like.
We also thought maybe, what else was it we said? Oh, I said, we actually recorded, by the way, our idea, so you can insert that here if you want, to prove that we did actually think these things. But I said in that clip, I think it's a Soma situation where they are not actually in there. They are just a snapshot of their brains.
Because of the brain
and
scan.
they can't leave because they're actually out there living their lives. And I have the recording to prove that I said that. So when that happened in the cinema, I was like...
we sort of sit there like, and a check,
I know.
and a check, and a check.
All right.
Now,
Okay.
I didn't
Yeah,
have
go ahead,
Isn't She Lovely in my book,
No.
in my bingo card.
Gag.
Didn't know that was going to happen though. That was great. Loved that.
Okay. So let's dissect what happened bit by bit, right?
Yeah.
We have Kinger coming out telling them that he deleted Kane accidentally, and then he drops the information about the brain scans. Right. Firstly, I thought it was the most unsatisfying reveal I have ever witnessed in anything ever.
It was very casual. It was like, oh yeah.
A lot of the kids
Oh, by the way,
like,
this is that. And also, when Ragatha started crying and was like, "Oh, I'm like, what did you always say? I don't understand. What am I trying to be understanding right now? It didn't really drop. You know what I mean? It was so thrown away, like so casually revealed.
Well, I had a thought about that, and I leant over to you in the cinema and said it, where I was like, oh yeah, when Ragatha arrived in the circus, she was saying, guys, because there must have been other people around her when it happened. So I suppose in her head she was thinking, well, would they have not done something? Why would I still be here if there was a group of people, or at least one other person with me when I came into the circus? How would they have just let me stay there and not gotten me out? And it makes more sense that if it was just a on-off situation, it's why she carried on.
Okay. So here's my question to the group, right? Where did these brain scans come from?
Well, we have a theory about that too.
Because the episode does a very shit job to answer any questions.
I think it trickled it. So right at the end, when Kane is sort of reliving how he broke out of his AI testing box situation, he goes up to an exit door, which switches between saying on it brain scan database
Obsolete.
and Blue Cafe Wi-Fi. I think he connected to he got into a Wi-Fi for a random internet cafe. And how these people actually got in is not necessarily that they all happened to come across the same headset in the same office. I think it's more likely that he got into them via the Wi-Fi of different things. So like Pomni came across it, connected to the Wi-Fi or something else, or he used the Wi-Fi to jump across to other people. or they entered the cafe.
Because notice how when he was trying to tell the characters what their real life selves were doing near the end, it was social media, which is something that could be accessed through having Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a little tie there.
Yeah, I still don't understand, how did Jax go from homeless sleeping outside to having a CT scan?
Like
Well,
a
that's why I
digitally
don't think-
recorded one.
I think maybe it could be a situation of just putting on like a headset, like, and then like maybe connecting a phone next to something, you know, because like they say it's a brain scan, but like we're assuming it's like a CT scan, you know.
I did find it interesting when they were showing the visualization for the abstraction. Joe and Pomni was delving into it. Those very much looked like brain scans. They looked like what an actual, you know, scan of your brain looks like. The colors shifting.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
so
fun.
surely it needed to be a little bit more in depth. But also Pomni didn't know that, you know, she thought she was going to play a game
Yeah.
initially in the first episode. So I feel...
I get what you're saying. That there is a grey area and grey matter about how much they remember, because they can't remember their own name, which is a strange thing. And it's, you know, it's like there's gaps in their memory which isn't explained.
Yeah, and like some of that makes sense to me in the sense that based on what King has said, that they had these files of these scans or whatever you want to call them, and they were much smaller than they were expecting them to be. But then somehow Kane managed to make these files function, basically, or be workable, which would imply that there could be lots of gaps in that information. So, you know, that what their names are, stuff might not necessarily be in those files for whatever reason. But the comment about the files are much smaller than you'd expect for your full brain.
Well,
I was like,
that could maybe be why they aren't quite like their real world counterparts. Like Gangle says, oh, I don't know if that could be me. And then Zubul said, well, maybe you're braver than you remember, which is that maybe the brain scan doesn't fully get the nuance of a person. It gets more of the surface level.
Because it seems they were all experiencing some severe trauma whenever this brain scan was taken. Because, you know, their characters ride on these issues that they go through, you know, the allegories of social issues people have to deal with. So I think it's interesting that, you know, they don't remember a confident version of themselves. They're only reminded of the traumatized version of themselves, which plays into the abstraction, of course, as well.
It also seemed like timeline-wise, it's only been a couple years, potentially. Because I think that's what they said about Jax, is that after being unhoused for, like...
a few months, was it?
You know... So it wasn't very long, whatever they said. Yeah. And that would mean then, because he was there right early with Ragaffer, and they couldn't have been there for like ever.
I'm just remembering something. The one comment we made to each other is one. So, okay, let's say that this is correct and this is a good interpretation, right? I do think that for the kind of show it was, it kind of left us with an Inception type ending, where everything is up to interpretation. Right, which, in my opinion, it is masterful in its own way, because it can be interpreted to any individual however they want to interpret it. Knowing what the Phantom is like, I think when people watch it today and within the next 10 days of when the rest it will finally hit YouTube, when we finally release this, I think it's going to be absolute chaos, because there is no actual answer to anything.
No.
Right?
Yes.
It is such a very, very ambiguous ending to a show that obviously has garnered a very massive fandom. I have so many questions. I feel like I went into the episode expecting, like I said, Kinger is going to like take their hand and lead them to safety, let's say, which isn't what I was going to expect. But it was, you know, let's say I expected a point A, B, closed story.
I thought it would be more of a traditional sort of, you know, story structure to end with, you know?
Yes. And instead, we are left with so many more questions where I was sure that because especially Goosework made it so obvious that they are done with the story, there is nothing left, that it would be well concluded. Not to say that it wasn't well concluded, but it does feel like it leaves it's very, very.
There's a lot of loose ends. Yeah, I find it interesting that we didn't really get much of the characters' backstories until around episode 8, because then they kind of had to scramble, as you say, to explain what was going on with these characters, what they were presently doing. But we only get glimpses. It's a very nuanced sort of thing where it's like you can interpret something the way you want. As you say, you could say, Ragatha has an abusive relationship with her mother. That's been implied, but we never explicitly saw that. So
no. So Ragatha and her mom, I feel like that was probably one of the satisfying ends to future Ragatha, we will say, because she went to be successful, detached herself from her mom, blah, 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 blah. Right. The diner episode where out of nowhere Gangle was in her element and suddenly gets run over by a truck. Now we know that is actually something that had happened in the real world to Gangle. That was a memory. Which is very random, but she survived it. And also, why was she an asshole then when she worked in the... I just don't get it. I really don't get it. If that was suddenly a reflection of her actual storyline, is Gangle outside not a shy introvert and instead kind of psychotic boss person?
I kind of got the vibe from that. What they were going for is that, so their avatars reflect themselves. I think Gangle in life wore a lot of masks to try and fit in. So happy mask, sad mask, mean mask, I'm your boss mask, because that's what I should do, regardless of whether I believe it or not, which made Gangle very unhappy. And I thought it was kind of implied that Gangle might have purposefully walked in front of the lorry and not accidentally.
One of the interpretation I got from that as well was the laughter mask was always breaking. It was fragile. And I thought, if Gangle was this mean, assertive manager, and then suddenly had a life-threatening experience happen to them, that was sort of like the fragility of their life, their happy life, literally crumbling in front of them. Yeah. So I think the reason why they were wearing that side mask is because they realized that, life is precious. Maybe they didn't appreciate that so much.
I like that. See, I just need to keep walking through this and you'll help me figure it out. Yes. Zubal's story, I feel like we got a nice little sprinkle of it before, because Zubal always liked doing the drinks and blah, blah, blah. I think that was in itself nice and tidy, but also we didn't really get to see much about it.
I really felt like they played up this whole idea throughout the whole series about Zubal and identity. And whether that be gender or just fitting in or just being... And then I don't feel like there was any conclusion to that I found satisfying. Because throughout the whole show, she's always having to change her appearance. And she even comments with Kane, like how she keeps changing, but it doesn't feel right. And nothing really in the real world or anything sort of, I feel, other than like she set up a bar.
Satisfied that.
And then it's like, but I wanted to have something to say that something came out of that whole. Because every other character, I feel like, are in this circus world with some trauma. Maybe it's a shallow version of that trauma because of all the digital stuff. And most of the stories related to things connect to that trauma. But this, it just didn't connect for me. I found that very frustrating.
The only thing that I can think is that when they are going through Zubal's social media, they very pointedly keep saying they, which make me think, is that what they were getting at? Zubal came to the end of their gender conflict and personality indecisions and settled into, this is who I am. And maybe that's what that was getting at.
Yeah, because if you remember the scene when Kane in episode 8 was essentially putting through their worst fear, it was Zubal was getting dragged down by all these different pieces of body, and they were reaching out to a mirror which was directly on them. So I think it's definitely, I think Zubal is the most clear cutting that is, gender journey for somebody and body image in that regard.
They were definitely subtle. They didn't really.
It was very subtle, and I think the general theme we're talking about is this show sometimes plays it too subtle. Like, you don't have to be so subtle with the messages you're communicating.
I really thought it was not going to be a happy ending.
No, me neither. I thought that ending, I was like, are you sure? Yeah. Are you sure we're going to leave this feeling satisfied? Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Just to continue the last two characters, Jax.
I forgot the other two existed.
What happened to Jack's mum? Why did we decide that Jack's mum is not worth revisiting? Firstly, this randomly heavy story is so randomly, I don't know, it's wild. And
we said as we left the cinema, I was saying, like, the thing about the Jack story is there's a whole thing about, like, he pushed his mum. He doesn't really know. He sort of left her. So, like, is she okay? Was it more fatal than that? And then the conclusion of it was basically, yes, he was unhoused for a while, and then did a postie job, and everything's great, and his mum might be dead, but if so, he got away with it. Or she's fine, in which case maybe communicate that so there's some, again, closure on, like, Jax can move on in the world and move on from that chapter and move on from his family. But
part of me felt like they didn't need to make it a physical act he did. It could have been that he just absolutely exploded on her verbally and left her there gobsmacked, and he ran because he didn't know what the fallout was.
I mean, they literally showed her on the floor.
Yeah, it was literally like, I'm a mother killer. And I was
then also it showed Pomni on the floor. He didn't push Pomni, but emotionally, he did.
She was the mother figure.
It's a tricky one,
projecting a lot of.
I don't know.
And again, the children in the cinema were very funny at every moment of this.
So, episode 9 focuses a lot on Jax because we see inside of Jax's abstraction.
Yes,
there's a lot of stuff going on there, like the different scenes, like the Tom and Jerry one, the Looney Tunes one. There's also the maid dress one that was unhinged. But yeah, I think it touched on a lot of themes with Jax, and I think as much as it wasn't clear with a lot of the answers, we had a lot of hints got in there, like him being uncomfortable with overt femininity, clearly, or, you know, him feeling like he has to be some image of masculinity by being this person who doesn't care and stuff. I thought it spoken a lot, but I agree with you with the fact that they could have drove it a bit home a little more, considering it was the last episode and we had all this build up to it.
Yeah. See, I'm curious. So do you genuinely think that Jax was gay then?
No, I think Jax is trans.
We were like trans queer around there.
Yeah. Because
I didn't get that at all. Like, not even a hint of it.
Because what could he have said to his mum as like a soul revealing thing about himself that made him not like his father? And then she laughs at him. And then I think that's pretty clearly either gay or trans. But I think if you're going to I think the trans thing was confirmed to me when it was the bow, and then the "Isn't She Lovely" playing with all the clips of Jax. I was like, okay.
Interesting.
Okay. I really don't need to watch media where I have to, like, fucking look at it with a glass.
It did make me
because all the other episodes weren't that. It was so on the nose and obvious, and, you know, and now suddenly this episode is like it's the most puzzling puzzle.
There is an irony that the episode that requires the most, like, you need to rewatch this and understand, is the one that it went out in cinemas and we had to watch once effectively and consume it in one take before it comes out later.
I think there was definitely some nuance with Jax's character, like I said, about, you know, queer trans experiences and his journey with that. Because also in his backstory, he says he hangs out with his friends in the bar that Zubul works out, that Zubul made to be an inclusive space. I think that was an interesting nuance as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like the more I talk about this, I like it less. Instead of liking it more, I'm liking it less.
I think I was curious. So I know that Glitch said that they were really struggling to finish the film even like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Before release, which made me think, were they maybe trying to get a lot in and running out of time? Because I remember I was saying to you when we knew that the final episode was going to be like a movie, I said, "Oh, I feel like we've got 3 more episodes in us. So maybe the film will be an hour and a half long because it'll be 3 episodes length in one, you know?" And then we were shocked when it was like, "Oh, we're going to watch episode 8 and then episode 9 is going to start." Because we didn't realize that. So we were like, "Oh, okay." It's just it's a 40-minute
thing is,
episode.
the way you're explaining it makes it more interesting, yes. but I also don't. This is going to sound very like meh of me, but I wouldn't go to that length of dissecting something for a show that for 8 episodes. You didn't need to do that at all, and suddenly you have to
I get what you're
listen
saying,
to every nuance and see every background thing in hopes to kind of get it.
See, maybe that's why we were so, desperate to tie it together. To like, okay, it's the final thing. We need to make sense out of this because it's the last thing we're getting.
Yeah. And again, to add, the children in the cinema were verbalizing all these things as we were going along. So like they were going trans or lesbian,
Ragatha and Pomni.
Jesus Christ! Even children are more perceptive than me at this point. It's crazy.
Can we agree that Ragatha and Pomni had a very, very blatant moment together?
A little bit.
That was the lighting in that scene. I was like, that's romance. I think it was a bit more than friendship.
I'll be honest with you. When that was happening, all I could think of is it's just going to cut mid-scene and Ragatha is abstracted.
I would have
I literally just waited for it. I'm like bracing myself because at that point Jax had abstracted so casually, out of nowhere. It's like one moment he's there, the next moment I should have said something. Abstracted.
This was the same issue I had with the way they just threw out that basically none of them are real, which was that it was just a line of like, I wish I'd spoken to him. He's abstracted. Oh, what? It's like,
we've never had any like narrator voice before, so when that happened, I was a bit like,
what?
Okay.
Oh. And while it was kind of obvious it was Jax, like, again, it was never formally said at the beginning, so it did take my brain like 2 skips to be like, oh, okay, that's Jax, because of course it is. But again, just the way they were like, oh yeah, he's abstracted now, and he's just loitering around, and I'm like, I feel like this should have had more emotional weight, considering how much of everything to do with Jax has continuously had such an emotional weight behind it. This key moment where he effectively, at that point anyway, is dead in terms of in the context of that world. Oh.
Which clearly he isn't, because he's just a file that could probably be cleaned, because when you go through the corruption, you can still find him there. So why can't Kane just do that and revert everyone back?
They just need to install Norton antivirus and just do a clean.
Who needs the antivirus?
Okay, so the last character, which you brought up, is Pomni. What is Pomni's story? Enlighten me. Which is really weird.
See, my first interpretation was she was supposed to be an echo of the viewer, somebody observing.
I would agree with that, yes.
But I think there's only a certain point it gets to when you're like, okay, well, we're naming her. She's called Abigail. We're making her like a person, but it's like, other than being nice and sort of a protagonist, I like Pomni, but I question, what does she do?
I thought what they were going to go for was like, okay, so your avatar is your self-actualized. She thinks of herself as a joke. That's why she's a joker. Like, she's a jester. You know? Maybe that's going to be what it is. That maybe... And then I thought if that was going to be true, real Abigail would be like, well, I stopped being an accountant and started, my own business, or I help other people now in inspirational workshops or, leadership stuff, But that wasn't it. It was just like, and Pomni has friends.
And she still goes to abandoned building.
And she started a YouTube channel, out of all things. Jesus.
Which, again, that just seemed to have everything that we've seen from Pomni. I was like, and she's like, now she's a blogger with her face. I'm like, is this the same character? Like, it's like she entertains people like a jester, I guess. I agree with the concept that she is a character that she's the audience member, sort of experiencing the story. The only thing is, I think in this conclusion, when you do storytelling like that, you do risk having a character that's sort of a nothing character, which I think she fell into that trap, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it could have done with another half an hour or one more episode before the end. And that one more episode should have been the Jax has abstracted, sort of like
100%.
episode where we see them
100%.
not just in a montage trying to like make sense of their world. Because like it also felt weird that like, oh, okay, so it felt like they were getting at that they're going to keep working with Jax until he unabstracts, right?
Yeah, it feels like it wasn't the final thing for him.
Like, that kind of felt like that's what they were going for. But then you saw Kinga and Pomni sat in what was effectively an abstraction aquarium. And I was a bit like, that's a bit morbid, isn't it?
That's exactly what it was.
It's like going to a graveyard, just looking at the corpses, you know? Just like, oh, that's nice.
There's my wife.
There's my
I
wife.
was like, okay.
Okay, so Ken, do we have opinions as to why? Because I appreciate Jamie was explaining to me, maybe it's like a corrupted file, right? And that's what that is. But if Kane can literally create anything within this universe, which I still don't understand the purpose of Kane, I don't understand the purpose of the software and the circus. I feel like it was not explained properly.
No.
There was some person with a tumor that tried to create the software, which I feel like they wanted to maybe try and immortalize themselves or a person before they die, right? But if that is a thing, and Kane's entire purpose is to shepherd these brain scans into remaining active, then obviously Kane's primary purpose, first of all, before anything, would be to save a start file copy of the scan. So if something goes wrong, they revert back to that, right?
When you want to start working on a file, you save as, you know?
Yeah.
Fact. And if he keeps saying he is God in there, why can't he bring them back if they're not even real?
Because Scratch seemed like such an important character, you know. Kinga spoke to him like, "Oh, as a guy who helped develop the software, he
30 seconds,
and we
he was mentioned for 30 seconds.
But as you say, yeah,
I thought what it was getting at, but again, I don't want it to get at anything. I want it to tell me, not, you know.
My brain is working all the time. I don't need to watch animation to make it work more.
I think what they were getting at is that Scratch made a red AI, which is Kane, which was in a testing zone to see if he could feed it information and train it to be able to do this idea of make basically immortality. And Kane kind of worked, but had some issues. So they made their main one, which was blue, which seems to be bubble ? We'll get back to that.
Yeah, there's a whole
Seems it made blue, and blue was the working prototype. But then Kane broke out of his testing area, ate blue, and thus became a tyrannical god.
Yeah, but it seems blue is the nasty side of Kane, which I find weird. Because when he, at the end, when he pulls what I assume is the blue side out, he goes back to being his like apologetic, overly accommodating version of himself.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, while I thought that Bubble was also the blue, when Bubble talks to Kane and tells him, you really were the weaker of the two, it never says us.
Yeah.
It's framed as
It
two others.
throws it onto two others. That is why I thought Jax was the blue.
Yeah.
For a very small period of time.
And
I think
like-
Jax is Kane's story in the last episode was interesting to me because I genuinely thought, and I'm being very honest, I think I would have preferred if Kane had been deleted and that was it. The reason I say that is if we go right back to the beginning of episode 9 and they do the very quick reveal that, oh, you're actually all fake, and they'll have a little cry about it. Then they start it's so fast. It's so fast.
What the
Kinga starts rebuilding and then teaches Pomni how to rebuild, and slowly together they all start rebuilding this world.
Yes.
And because they can do it, they have the ability, they're all code at the end of the day, they're all AI.
They're literally all AI.
so-
None of them are human, even though he refers to them as the humans.
So they rebuild it, and it's all colorful and it's all back to thing. It's like, I think that story arc doesn't need a Kane. It's like, we don't need this tyrannical AI. And then he was gone and we were like, what the fuck? And actually we realized we'll be okay. And then Kane comes back for a redemption arc that I don't think was really needed.
Which was like under 5 minutes.
It was it was really interesting.
Didn't need. It was
No.
Kane's purpose was just to tell them about their backstories. And what I would have loved, as you say, if there was 30 more minutes, is if we actually got answers to who these people were and why they acted the way they did. Because it seems, on top of being a fun cartoon, the main purpose of Amazing Digital Circus is to shed light on the human condition. And because we didn't get a satisfying answer to that, there's a lot of unanswered questions.
What were we saying just before this?
About Kane not really having a role.
Yes. So he said, right, he says in it, why is it so hard to make life? In his big rant he does, he says, I have to use them because I can't make anything as good as them. And like, I heard that and was like, what about Gummigoo? Gummigoo had like a self-actualization moment and seemed to be setting up to be important.
Yes.
And he had,
Yes.
I was literally screaming internally, but also to Jamie, how he needs to at least show in the last fucking 2 minutes when everyone's living
little
their
recap
happy
thing,
ever after. But not even, no, nothing. There's no Gummigoo.
I feel like it would have been nicer.
Justice for
Justice for
Gummigoo. We like
Gummigoo.
Gummigoo.
Oh my God, I literally said that in the cinema.
I just feel like, especially because there's merch of Gummigoo, like I have these little squishy things. I think that one's next to you. Yeah, right. These come in a set that you can buy. There is Pomni, there is Kinga, there is Zooble, there is Jax, and there is Gummigoo. There is none of the others. So that implies Gummigoo's important.
Yeah.
And then he's not.
Turns out, no. He's not.
He's important money-wise because he makes the money.
Yeah. Oh, and don't forget to scan the QR code at the end for your super special.
Girl, trust. I thought that was quite funny. So
I still had a load, don't get me wrong, but yeah.
Yeah.
I still took a picture of it, so we can look at it later. Before I give like my big ugh about this, which in case you didn't notice, none of this was ugh for me yet.
Really?
Imagine when I get to it. No. What Ribbit? How do you feel about Ribbit? Was Ribbit satisfying after not Ribbit? Ribbit was very satisfying. Absolutely love her. Was Ribbit's appearance in the last episode after all the kind of like trickles of information we got in the previous 8 episodes, was what happened to Ribbit satisfying in any way at all?
I think we needed Ribbit to explain Jax, certainly, because, you know, it was leading up to this entire thing that Jax is hiding something. He used to be happy with his friends. He's not anymore. He confided in Ribbit. Then all that happened. But I'm unsure as to how he exactly explains that Ribbit abstracted as they did. We assume it's just because their friendship with Jax is falling apart that distressed them. But it's like they had a friendship with, what's the clown called? Kaufmo as well. So, like you say, I liked Ribbit's inclusion because you can't really have Jax's story without Ribbit being there. But the way it was finalized was unclear.
But I will pose this to you. If this had been the plan from the start, would you have added Kaufmo and Ribbit? Or would you have just had Kaufmo and had it be Ragatha that he told information to, and then he pushed her away and everybody else, and then Kaufmo died, who's only good friend there? Did you really need to have 2 characters there? Because Kaufmo just sort of became a guy, just a dude.
100%. Especially because, in the first episode or the first few episodes, I got the impression that Kaufmo was the bestie.
Yeah.
Now, in the last episode, he was just a guy that Jax was using as a scapegoat to not have to deal with Ribbit. Yeah. Which it does, I don't know, it is a little bit...
I liked Ribbit's inclusion in this. I think it was done well. I think they did a good job of, in a short amount of time, setting up how close they were for the little, like, snapshots of time. And then I think it was... I think that it helped Jax's story, like you said. I think it was needed for Jax's story. I think it adds more to Jax's story that because of his rejection of facing his past and stuff and wanting to suddenly deny it all, pushed Ribbit away so far that I do think that was the reason for the abstraction. So then that plays onto Jax's conscience even more. And I would say that they were all very close, but I think Jax weighted himself out so much that the stuff of Ribbit, and then sort of, like I said, just using the other character's name, who's I've forgotten already.
The clown?
The clown, yeah. Kaufmo, using him so much just as like a reason to not talk to Ribbit. I think that probably led to an abstraction as well. So I think it all
I mean,
added layers to Jax's reclusive
Jax
character.
managed to isolate. This is,
I don't think it painted Jax in a necessarily positive picture all the time.
at any point.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jax is a
Complex
and unlikable character.
Yeah.
Matter of fact,
Immensely
that's
unlikable. Like,
that's what you're getting
because
at with Gangle's reaction to him at the end.
it is to me, it's a little bit sad because they tried to shed light on the story of how far you can get in your head and how emotionally detached you can become if you're dealing with something like, as it turns out, because I didn't fucking pick up with it, maybe coming out as trans. I really did not pick up it at all. Phew, way over my head, right? But instead of making it into something relatable and showing the hurt, just made Jax a real big asshole that I did not want him to be redeemed in any way at the end. Like, you kind of got what you deserved.
Yeah.
Like, you reaped what you sowed. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly got the consequence of his actions, but I think it ran with a lot of shame of him. Me and you were sort of saying he seems like quite a immature character, like freshly 19 or 20, because it's sort of that reaction of like, oh, I'm finding myself of who I am, but I don't like the rejection I've received from that, from my familial backgrounds, from his mother or from what his father said about him, potentially showing traits of that growing up. And it's very much a thing of saying like, I am so scared that because I've confided in you, you are going to tell everybody about that, and that's the worst thing I could ever do. That seems like quite a, not immature, but you know what I mean? It's like a younger understanding of a social dynamic.
I also I think I quite liked that what they did at the end with Jax, that he's not fixed. He's not brought back.
Yeah.
It kind of gave the vibe of somebody that's tried to kill themselves and maybe has not succeeded, but isn't normal again afterward. That is the vibe I got from that, you know? And I quite liked that. Again, if we had one more episode, I feel like we could have had a bit more Jax becoming not an asshole. You know?
Yeah.
Like him sort of coming out of his shell, being nice to Jangle, like maybe once would have helped. Gangle, I keep saying Jangle every time. Being nice to Gangle, you know? And like...
Because the episode was janky. No, it was actually kind of nice, but still janky.
I like reconciling with Ragatha, because Ragatha clearly knew the extent of why that relationship between Ribbit and Jax was so, intense. But Ragatha thinking that she pushed him too far, but it wasn't. Jax was just being like, I did all this.
Yeah.
But we could have seen them reconcile a little bit.
I don't know. There's a lot of confusion in my head still. You have helped. You both have helped a lot in trying to piece together things that I did not really get.
I think in a way, as much as it's unsatisfying to have not clearly defined answers, the artistic interpretation, as you say, we came out of this with different views about what was going on.
Yeah.
Neither of those are particularly correct. I think there's obviously stuff that's implied. I definitely think there's something queer or trans, or maybe both, going on with Jack.
Definitely. Now that you said it, I can see
experience.
Yeah.
But I think as much as it is frustrating, I understand why Gooseworks did it in a way, because I think to satisfy a fandom that large with the answers that they want to have, leaving it up to interpretation leaves that to be a little more make your own story. However, is it that, or is it lazy writing?
No. I, if anything, I am afraid for Goosework to deal with. I would let the episode come out and just deactivate my Twitter. I would just not. I literally would just disappear for like a year or two. I don't think they need to.
I don't know. Yeah,
they probably made some money.
Yeah, I would take my paychecks from the popcorn buckets and call it a day.
I literally would. I wouldn't have to deal with, because I can only imagine if everyone was the same as in the cinema with you, then all well and good. But I feel like you might have had best scenario crowd in that sense.
Oh, they applauded at the end. There was a full applause.
I felt like it was like when people applauded the plane lands.
Well, wild. I feel like most will be like the woman that came out from our cinema, where she aggressively grabbed the drink and walked out like she was livid.
She was a funny bunny.
I feel like to me, having watched this, it's kind of clear, I think, what Gooseworks was working at. And I think we talk about the Jax bit and how Jax didn't unabstract, which I think was a good thing. It's very clear that Gooseworks wanted to write a story about characters and emotion, and everything else around it was more just a very loose framework to sort of tell that story that they wanted to tell about, you know, Jack specifically, and the emotions and dealing with trauma and stuff, which does leave the like practicalities of like, how does this work? How do you scan people? What's the endings to the other characters aren't satisfying. It's like, I don't think Gooseworks particularly cared about telling that side of the story. I don't think that interested them very much. And
and even on that, believe me, I'm cosplaying Jax. It would have been nice to see a focus on a different character in the last episode too, because we had this cast the entire way through, and Jax got the focus because obviously, you know, it was alluding that he was losing his mind. He did a lot of actions like pressing the button or wanting to face reality, which needed explanation. But I think when you've had a cast of those characters for so long and you've not got a full story on that, it would have been nice, as you said, if it was a little longer, to take segments and actually each character have their moment with that, because that would leave it to be less dissatisfying with no clear answers.
It does feel like at the end of the day, it was mostly about Jax. I feel like as someone who, after seeing Strawberry's cosplay, has become very quickly obsessed with Pomni, it's very unsatisfying as a Pomni fan.
Yeah, because again, it feels like Pomni's just the Jesus, you know? She's like the
white savior.
The savior
He has risen.
that just comes through and sort of like, she is Brutus, or I'm trying to remember the line from the famous film where he's like, I am blah 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 blah, and everybody says it. Spartacus.
No,
it's not Spartacus. That was like, wait
Spartacus is lazy too.
Yeah, sorry, we're not very well cultured. Anyway, the point is, she's kind of meant to be like this hero character, and I'm cool with that if that's what you're going for. I just think just a little something more.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're coming at, right, is that there are more than one character in this franchise that are plot characters who have no substance of their own, including the main character and including Ribbit. Because they only exist to move the plot for other characters. But when your main character is that's kind of fucked.
Ribbit.
I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like
Ribbit is literally the dead wife in the fridge trope. It is that.
Basically, yeah. Basically. And I'm very upset that it is the trope that they set up for Ribbit as being someone who was genuinely doing their best and kind-hearted, but someone close to them iced them out enough and cut them out of everyone else's life until that person eventually lost their mind. Which, if you think about so many, the irony in this is why I guess I'm upset a little bit with it. The irony of so many young trans folk who have gone through the other side, who were the Ribbit, where they are the genuine people who, you know, are figuring themselves out, are figuring the situation out, but some asshole iced them out of all their social groups because of their truth until they lose themselves. It's a very, I don't know. I'm very frustrated and shaken by everything related to Jax today, apparently.
Yeah.
It definitely, it was, I think they were trying to write it so it came to a point where it was like, can we forgive Jax? Jax clearly can't forgive himself. Can we as people forgive Jax? And I think they were trying to write towards Pomni as like, Pomni can find it within her heart to forgive him.
Because she sees the good.
Yeah.
Whereas Gangle cannot. Gangle has the whole moment of being like, I'm sorry, I can't bring myself to cry that he's dead. I'm sorry. And it's only when they're starting to go through all that effort. It's more that Gangle cries at of seeing all these people come together to help someone moves Gangle. Not necessarily that Gangle suddenly feels grief. You know, it's more that Gangle's like, wow, these people are doing all of this, and including Gangle, but all these people are doing this for somebody that didn't earn it, but they're still doing it.
And it's like, if we are going on to the thing that Jax is still quite a young person, obviously father was bad to him, mother was bad to him. It's like, is it trying to lead down the path that he's a subject of that trauma and he is exhibiting behaviors that his parents did on towards him? Makes him no better. But then you start to think, you know, what is Pomni forgiving? What is Jackson able to forgive? Because he's done a lot. The entire series done a lot of bad things.
I feel like, yes, that is what it is hoping to achieve, but in what we visually saw, unless I watched those episodes repeatedly for like 15 times each, I wouldn't get that familiarity with the character.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And last, my big bomb drop, my big one, right? The big when. So I'm slightly older than the people in this space, right? And I will say that because Jamie isn't into like TV series or things in the whole media, right? So I have more experience in that scenario. Yeah. The biggest no-no for story writing when I was growing up to, I want to say maybe like 10 years ago, was the trope of everything was a dream, none of this really happened. And this is effectively what all of Digital Circus is. Shows like Lost, I don't know if you know of Lost or have seen Lost.
I've seen Lost, yeah.
Lost was a massive series with millions of viewings. Yeah. It was one of the most watched shows ever. Yeah. And then it collapsed completely when it was massively popular. Spoiler, if you haven't seen it, I'm about to reveal something that you should or shouldn't know. All of the seasons, was it like 10 seasons? It was like the longest fucking running thing, right? As it turns out, everyone was literally dead. It was purgatory, and it was just them coming to terms with what happened to them just before they died or during their death or whatever, right? This very much feels like the same premise, where it is a magical brain scan that we don't know where it came from, that this company probably acquired illegally, from what I can imagine, because none of them seem to have any affiliation or knowledge that the company even exists, let alone how their brain was scanned. And they're all dealing with the trauma that they had at the time of that brain scan. And at the end of the episode, all of the episodes, they realize, we don't exist, we don't really matter, our real selves are outside. It is immensely unsatisfying. To me, that was raised on the subject of series that end with, and it was a dream, is a massive no.
So there's a really amazing game called Soma, which I don't know if you've ever played or watched anyone play. It's basically, in short, I think I can spoil this game. It came out at least 5 years ago. Anyway, so in short, man goes in for a revolutionary sort of brain scan thing to cure his terminal disease. Scan happens, he opens his eyes, and he's in a post-apocalyptic derelict spaceship in a robot body. This man wakes up and he's inside of like a robot body on like a spaceship, where you find out that this future AI is trying to keep humanity alive, but it can't really. So they're trying to send humans off to like a digital heaven, a forever place, you know? And him and this other also uploaded brain inside of a digital space try and work their best through this ship to find a way to upload themselves to this cloud. And the ending of this game is that he does it just in the nick of time, and he wakes up in this beautiful space and he's with her, and it's a great ending. And then it snaps back and he is still in that space, in that body, in the metal body, and he's like, why isn't it working? And the digital woman goes, well, look, it did work. A version of us has just been uploaded, but it can't delete us as well. It's uploaded us, but we did it. And he's like, but that means that I'm just going to be here forever in this body because you can't die. And the ending is much more existential because you're like, oh, well, did we win? We guess we won, but what is to win in this scenario? You know?
I suppose there's a bit of a flavour with that being like, if we are to believe that these brain snapshots are a separate consciousness, be it code or whatever, you know, they're still going to live out in the circus. regardless of what their outside people do. But the merit was that we found out who these people were, but not necessarily what's going to happen to the version of them inside the circus.
Especially because, as you say, what's the point? Because it's not like the people in the real... Like, one of my theories was that they were going to wake up and then have to... Because they've grown as people in the circus, and now they're going to have to regrow as people in the real world with real world pressures and not revert back to their old selves. And that was going to be the ending of the idea of, like, it's difficult alone, but you can do it, you know? But that's not... They did it independently. They did it on their own. They didn't need the lessons. They didn't need the
lessons.
They literally... nothing happened. Nothing changed. In the grand scheme of the actual characters' lives, everything that they went through was for nothing. Literally. And they are stuck there forever.
It is the fact that, yes, all these amazing things these characters went on to do had nothing to do with any growth that happened in the show. It was all completely separate. I will say, I think there was I found a satisfactory ending to the characters in the circus, in the sense that I took away from it that once they had realized that they're not those people and they're not those real people out in the real world, I would feel like that's a huge, almost like a weight off your shoulders, that you don't have those pressures that you think like, how am I going to do this? What? That's not a thing anymore. And you've now seen that your real selves have gone off and done great. So you don't have to, you can almost like close that. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And I think when Kane speaks to Pomni and refers to Pomni by their real name and goes, no, that person's out there, I'm Pomni.
Yeah, I think I still have the damage because I didn't grow. The person out there did, apparently.
But I feel like they can, like, well, I don't have to, those things I worry about, they're like, I can in a way like disconnect from that and just be this digital self and live in this magical world. And I think there was very much an acceptance. There wasn't like, oh, I now have, what does it all mean? I feel like by the end, it felt like there was closure on like, they've come to accept that this is their reality in this digital world. And they seem to be at peace with it. And I was like, okay, well, that's something. Yeah, I was happy with that.
I think it was nice of sort of being sending the message of like, even if your circumstances seem hard, you know, appreciate what you do have, because their knowledge of the circus at the beginning was nominal. There was not much there, and then they decided to live with it, make peace with it. So I agree with you. It was a satisfying end to be like, I'm Pomni rather than Abigail,
which is why I think that would have been more powerful if they hadn't brought Kane back, because they said, I'm Pomni and we own this and this is ours now. We those real people are different. We are going to be people that create whatever we want. We don't need Kane, this person. And like, no, Kane's back and he's going to like make sure things run okay. Because you still need
technically
AI.
Kinger could have found out the information of their social media.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Oh, I think that whole thing about the revealing stuff, if they had come across that themselves or via Kinger, I think that would have hit even harder.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Especially if they were like on the brink of their despair and then they see themselves on the out. They've somehow gotten to a point where they can find almost like, oh, we can make it. We can find a way out, and instead come across their real selves, so to speak, and then make peace that they're just going to stay there. And because Kinger was, like you said earlier, helping them learn how to mold the universe, they could have fixed it in however they wanted it to be, and maybe bring Gummigoo and be a friend with Pomni. And the fuck? Why did that not happen?
Where is Gummigoo? Also, so Kane is like, I've got less power than I did before. To what degree, Kane? To what degree? What does that mean?
Because he removed Blue from his head, right?
Yeah, so he's like, oh, I have less power, but
but he could stop Pomni from glitching. He could also open all previous worlds.
Exactly! He can stop her from glitching, but he cannot fucking undo the abstraction? What the fuck? Crazy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then the blue thing removed, but even though the red AI was manifested as Kane, there was no manifestation of the blue AI. I'm not convinced.
Oh yeah, why wasn't that explained in any way? It's like,
was just
go, you blue dot, disappear.
Fly away into this cabinet.
And where did he go?
Vacation.
Season 2.
Oh my god. I obviously have a lot of opinions about it.
Yeah, it was interesting to say the least. It wasn't particularly what I expected. Like there were plot points that we said that we thought were coming, but yeah, the ending, we were like, that was satisfying to like watch, like the animation and everything, but we just sort of thought like questions, several.
My favorite part was right at the end where we had Gangle and Zubul getting it on behind a door.
That was fun. That was fun.
Raghafa was like, "Ooh."
That was fun. Yeah, that was fun. That was a top bit. That was top bit.
Well, that's what's so great about fandom culture. It's like clearly we all have investments in these characters. I mean, if you couldn't tell,
not at all. I did not get this.
But it's like
I did not get this at all.
It's nice to lift it from what is considered the canon media and do your own thing with it. Because essentially that's why you want enjoyment out. As you say, this last episode, do I think it was a perfect rendition of the ending? No. But I can appreciate for what it is. I can appreciate what I take from it. And I can also appreciate too, if this is the end, we've got a whole series to work with to do what we want with, really. So, yeah.
Yes. I want to say that after hearing your assistance in helping me kind of like sift through all the chaos that the episode brought with it, I can genuinely say that the scope of the story is a very good one. I do think that literally all the other 8 episodes are better written and they are better laid out, and probably because there was less pressure on them to do those episodes than this final one. I do sympathize with the creator of the show to have gotten to a point where I have done my bit. I'm tired of this. I don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. I don't care if it leaks. I don't care what happens. I've done what I needed to do. I've told my story. And I can imagine that sentiment comes not just from the fandom and the backlash that weirdly you were telling me that people are not into Jax and Pomni, and I don't know. I don't care about any of that. Yeah. You guys do you. Buy a t-shirt. I also have a feeling that towards the end, they might have been contracted for the 9 episodes and they needed more. And the fact that they couldn't get more, it is deflating when you have such a good story, but you don't have a way to tell it properly in the end. I think I would be gutted. If that happened with something that I wrote and I set it up really well and I got to episode 8 and everyone's fucking obsessed with it, and now I only have 1 episode to close it that is going in the theaters and it's never going to fully tell my story properly, I'd be so fucked off. So again, mad respect to this to the creator.
But we don't know. Maybe they're going to make us a whole live action series about
like a sitcom.
The sitcom of the actors that we saw at the end on that bus, becoming buddy mates and Jax transitioning in real time. I don't know.
I'm so upset with myself. I didn't get that. It is so obvious now that you say it, when the ribbon and the blush and being upset with the maid costume. It makes so much sense. I'm so disappointed in myself.
Gender and sexuality identity for sure.
And the whole like, I'm wearing it because it's ironic.
Strangled. When they're arguing, the maid Jax says a F word, but it's a bit too long to be F-U-C. And in the context of calling somebody else a name, we were like...
We literally were like, in the cinema. We were like, oh.
Which shows that internalized self-hatred too.
So Jax shows a lot of examples of internalized trans homophobia identity issues, because even when Jax says... in that same scene, like, reality's gay.
Reality's gay.
And in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
As in, like, the kids used to do back in the day, and we all had to have a list of, like, we don't use gay to say something's bad. But that's how it was used in that context. And
knock it off.
I think that does all play into that sort of, like, immature way of young way of dealing, like,
and then also a few episodes earlier, when he's getting close to Pomni, he says something like, a hetero relationship, like, everybody wants that. So there's clearly, like... awareness of that with Jax.
Yeah. I also think we all I know the maid costume, what's the famous quote of sometimes you wear the costume before you wear the uniform or something like
I
that.
was just thinking of Gia Gunn saying, when there's existence, there's resistance.
Yeah. Where it's like, sometimes they have to wear the earring before they put on the dress.
Oh, I get what you mean.
Yeah, of like, I think we all maybe know a couple trans women that have put on a maid dress back in the day, then went, haha, it's funny. And then here we are, and it's like,
Doing it for Halloween.
And
it's like, oh, actually.
Fact. The cast of Drag Race.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Was it season 14 where everybody was just coming out as trans? It was great.
Another one, thank you. Another one, thank you. Yeah, I remember that, yeah. I want to say, you mentioned the scene where they're all at the bus stop at the end, which I really, really like.
Not Roxy Andrews bus stop.
I was about to say, a lot of
Drag Race. Oh, no.
You lent over to me. You said it in the cinema. Drew lent to me when it's the bus still running.
One, I thought that was a nice thing of all of these them being next to each other. And I was like, is this set? Are they all going off to do the head scan thing? Like, are they all, or is it just like a random? Is it actually part of the story, or is it just like this is?
We
Oh my god, where was I during this movie?
Because I thought like. Are they all queuing to go on the bus to the same destination to have the same thing happen to them?
We had a similar thing. I think I remember turning being like, where's that bus going?
Oh, that
I don't
is
like
so
this.
smart, babe. What the fuck?
Where's this bus going? I didn't like that.
I was wrapped up at that moment, as well as the children next to me, in the fact that on the back of the bus stop, there is clearly written with someone's finger 4 numbers. It said 1319. And I went, well, what could that mean? What could that mean?
I was like, is it a date? Is it
1319? Was there more numbers and I couldn't read them? Was it 7, not 1? What would that mean?
Oh my god.
And now I'm going to have to...
Oh no, now I'm like, conspiracy theory.
So part of me could believe that that's maybe me getting lost in the lost of it all, of the numbers, so I don't know.
I mean, if it was there, it is obviously for some form of reason.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a discount code for the website.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You heard it here.
Very valid.
Go check out their website after you check out mine.
Our website, yeah. Check out the fan match. It's always more fun.
That's displayed here.
Yeah. Oh, no more work. Sorry, sidebar. Look what I keep playing with throughout the whole episode. Yes. I just need something to fidget. And it's like really nice to play with. Thank you.
I've just been smacking my knee off of Drew's every 4 seconds.
But yes, I like that scene because in my head, the way I read that scene was something, I know something nice like, oh, look, they're all strangers at this point and they don't know how close they're all going to get in their second life, I guess, in this digital world. Like they just don't know what's about to happen in this other reality for them. They all just don't know each other at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will also know it was a blue bus too.
I was thinking that just now. It was a blue bus, wasn't it? Blue
I don't know what that means. I'm so sorry.
Why
what
does
is
the blue
that?
bus signify?
Because the blue AI.
So, and also the freedom buttons.
God,
Red was to
you
stay
two
in
are
the
so
circus.
good.
Blue was to leave the circus.
Oh my god! I literally did I even go to the cinema? I don't.
I think we have to go back. Let's just.
I was just like pretty colors.
I think I missed the entire episode.
We were saying.
I think my ears ringing
It'd
from
be
the
nice to
sound
see it
probably.
again, just to sort of think like, am I going crazy or was I onto something?
That's why the guy.
I
was a
100% would be
now.
happy to watch it again.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is your favorite parts of it? What was the part you did enjoy?
I'll let Jamie answer that.
So the main thing I enjoyed from this was how they dealt with Jax. I do think they got that right. I think, yes, it required Pomni diving into the abstraction and stuff, but I like that we got to explore these different realities of how Jax feels he's perceived by other people. I thought that was good. I like the fact that all those different perceptions were and different interpretations of self were meeting up in one room, even one being chained to perform on a piano and stuff for everyone else. All these sort of things I found really interesting, and I really like the fact that the solution to the thing wasn't magically pressing undo and reverting back to square one, and Jax was like, oh, I'm unabstracted and everything's good now. Hooray. I was like, there was actually some consequence to that trauma and stuff, which is reality.
Yeah.
And I found that quite satisfying. I think where Gooseworks excels is when it comes to writing about personal characters. They're very good at character writing, I would say. And I found that very satisfying. And I think they approached that right. I think everything I complained about Kane in terms of like bringing him back and giving a magical redemption arc very quickly, I'm very glad they didn't do that with Jax. I think Jax got the ending.
Yeah, I agree. I'd have to agree that probably my favorite part was when Pomni was going into Jax's mind and everything.
Yeah.
I think it was quite a good plot device that somebody could do that. Because people were just afraid of the abstractions because they didn't know what it was.
It's a bit hurt to touch.
But I think it was good to see that we could do that and, you know, understand what abstraction is, understand what is going through that person's head when they're in that headspace.
Yeah.
And I think it was really great. But as I said, I wish there was just more to it. I wish there was more time to wrap people's head around that.
It would be really cool if what they kind of implied at the end, or if they said it themselves, was like, well, if we can unabstract Jax, then Jax can unabstract Ribbit, who can unabstract
Queena. See, I was thinking that. I was like, are we going to lead up to a part where, because Kane is not being this mastermind of everything, can we bring people who they care about back? Because they're clearly still there if Pomni can get into Jax.
Yeah, I did think that was one route it was going down, especially when they did bring Kane back. I thought maybe that's the purpose of bringing Kane back, is they're going to unglitch Pomni and then they can and therefore realize, we can unabstract and then bring everyone back. But honestly, I think I preferred the direction they took, because I think I like.
So you preferred the idea that once someone gets really in their head, they can never come back, because that's what we learned from this show, right?
I think
once you pass the point of losing yourself, you can never return.
I think it's an allegory for grief more than anything, because Kinga's story with Queenie it just reminded me of, you know, bereavement. He'd lost his wife in some sort of way. And I think keeping it as that tackles personal issues well, but then again, we didn't know what the goalposts were with abstraction. Can people come back from it? What exactly is it? Because they weren't dead. They were just in a weird, you know, glitchy state. So it's kind of unclear what they want to achieve with abstraction. But I think when you tackle it in the way that they tackled Jax's, with these are personal issues, this explains his character the way that he is, it makes more sense to me.
I really loved the star, like the starlight that was in Ribbit's bedroom, that animation of it sparkling on the walls and on Ribbit and on Jax.
Oh, the animation was lovely.
It was so nice.
The animation was really good. They do not miss though with that. It's throughout the entire show. The animation was quite fun, lighthearted. In parts where it needed to be dark, it was dark. In parts where it needed to be high production, especially when Kane does his numbers, it's just really impressive. There is a lot of almost like choreography. There's a lot of like planning behind it. It is very cinema-esque. Pun unintended for watching it in a cinema. As a show, the art direction in it really, really is beautiful. And what I do appreciate is that as a show about a strange-looking rabbit and a clown, it brought on this wonderful conversation we just had. Which made it very interesting, very deep. I will be honest, if we did not do this, right? If it was just us having watched it and then come back home and that's it, wouldn't really have given it much more thought. And I would have lost literally all the subtext, apparently. So I think my favorite part is the kind of like the mind-breaking moment of realizing that I didn't get any of it, and I am thankful to have had you guys to explain it, because what the fuck. The animation was lovely. The soundtrack is throughout the show very masterfully done. The writing of the characters, like you said, except for Ribbit and Pomni, which I will die on this hill. They could have done literally anything with Pomni instead of being I am appearing here to fix all your problems and be just that and not have my own story whatsoever.
At least Ribbit was a plot vehicle, whereas Pomni wasn't even a vehicle for the plot. She just witnessed the plot happen.
Yeah.
That said, I am excited to see how people receive it. I am genuinely curious, and I am curious to see if this show has longevity.
I think what might help is they really threw a lot of variants of costumes at us in the last 10 minutes, especially. They showed the D&D costume.
Yeah, we were like, maybe.
They had the new baseball
maybe.
outfits. They had more swimsuit ones. They had, they had a rock star one on stage where it said Digital Days. I was like, that's cool. That's the name of the
That's
song.
cute.
Also, did you notice that Kinger did not have any helmet or bucket in any of those scenes?
What, the late at the end ones?
Yeah,
Yes.
so like,
Yes.
It made me wonder if Kane helped him or they just let him revert back into the
I
Celavi.
thought what they were getting at, this is what I thought they were going to be getting at with Kinger and with Jax actually, was going to be that like the reason these people kind of don't make sense or contradictions is because Kane has messed with their code to try and make them more pliant and it's gone kind of wrong, but that wasn't confirmed or really shown to us at all. So I don't know if maybe we're supposed to get that Kinger after everything sort of shut down and restarted, maybe he just kind of like figured it out mentally, or
Maybe.
I don't know.
Kane had way more power than Heath. Yeah, there was some interesting things. Like Kane could do more than, even though he said didn't have as much power. And Kane, like we talk about Gummy, like he was able to create sentient AI. And then even in the last episode, the moon says "I love you" to Kane, and that was and he's like, "I didn't friggin' do that. You did that of your own accord." Like,
Yes, which means that all the NPCs are still alive and they're still growing and they're still... So why didn't we see a single NPC in the end scene?
Not even disappearing Hatman, who I love very
The
much.
only one we saw was the fucking weird
Big-
creature with the children.
the big.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
I was like, I know, but like they brought that back, and it's like, oh, Gummigoo's coming back for this. They're,
Yeah.
100%.
they're bringing back
Yeah.
this random thing that was also an NPC. They're bringing back like the ones we care about.
no.
Just no.
Where is Gummigoo?
I did kind of think... that
Not on the screen.
Not in that cinema. I kind of thought what they were doing... I thought the whole thing with the moon actually was a Blade Runner reference, which is a reference to the
Okay.
same... Because I'm pretty sure that is the line, isn't it? I never told you to say I love you. I'm
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah, I
sure that
think
is
so,
the
yeah.
line, in fact.
Yeah.
And she's like, and it's meant to be up to you whether that means it's because it's a really good AI or NPC
She's sentient.
or if she's sentient,
Yeah.
But I'm happy that... Oh, yeah, you also leant over to me and whispered the line.
So, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I went over and went, my girlfriend turned into the moon. That's rough, buddy.
And I was like,
Goody.
yeah.
I have one more question about this
One
whole
more.
of it, which is we talked a lot about rewatching it and looking at subtext and stuff. Yes, we enjoyed going out and seeing something, but do you think actually it worked as something to watch in the cinema, or do you think this is best watched as a YouTube video?
It's YouTube.
Yeah.
It was too short.
That's my takeaway as well.
Yeah.
I think that we talk so much about subtext. And
Also, it was really expensive for an hour and a half thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a full price ticket. Like it wasn't. Yeah. I think the reason why there's so much fan theories and stuff about the series is people have been able to digest it very slowly and like watch it and then immediately rewatch it and watch bits back and forth and stuff. Whereas when you're putting something for cinema context, which I know is just more of a gimmick to like a final hurrah, but when you, in my head, if you know something's going towards cinema, your storytelling does have to be done in a way that's suitable for cinema, in which case you have to be a bit more direct and a bit more digestible because you can't go away and do that like long processing in the same way. So it was very much a YouTube video in the cinema, and I very much felt that. And now I'm like, I would really like to watch it again. And now I can't for like 2 weeks. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we do see trends of this, don't we? It's like certain series will get so popular, especially the edgier ones. Like, like Danganronpa or Your Turn to Die
Has Been Hotel.
or Has Been Hotel. And they get such a cult following because it's offering something that is less palatable to the mainstream, let's say. But then we have to consider, as you say, does that work in a mainstream setting?
Yeah. Well,
Especially
I would
if
say
it's
Has Been Hotel the final of season 2 of Has Been would work in a cinema because I don't think it has much subtext.
Wow, calling me out.
Wow. Anyway,
He's like, dumbass is like, this would get it. Fact. Fact.
I wasn't
Honestly,
allowed to do
I can genuinely say I am super surprised that so much of this episode went over my head. And I will be honest with everyone, including our audience. I think I went with this is going to make me sound like a very evil person. I went into that movie scanning it for moments that I can turn into fan merch. Right? It is my job. It is my literally what I do for a living. And I was so focused on that maybe I just missed out on like half the episode, which is the only thing that I can explain it for me.
Yeah, I mean, we went into it thinking about similarly, like what cosplays do we want to do? What can we do based on this show and the fact that we have these cosplays now that we can make content out of? So
who's cosplaying Ribbit?
To do as a creative person, we take inspiration from the media we consume. We take inspiration from what ideas we can do with that. So but I think the reason why you probably feel like you missed on what we were saying though is just, as you say, it was a very open interpretation. And if you're not actively looking for that signal, like we had a preconceived notion about Jack's gender and queer identity story. So maybe we were fishing for that a bit more because we thought it'd been established.
And having to rewatch episode 8, I've seen that episode now 3 times.
We watched it together.
And I didn't watch it that long ago, the second time. So for me, I sat there in the cinema and went, okay, half an hour of watching something I've already seen. I'm going to exclusively look at the background because it's in a big screen. I can actually see the background, and so I think I was sat in the mindset of like, well, I'm reading into this because
I'm going to do all the reading.
Got to entertain myself somehow. Yeah.
I do think if you watched it as a regular, the usual format for YouTube, I think those things you feel like you missed out if you would have picked up more on. I really do think that. So I would say anyone watching at home who maybe is watching this after watching it directly from YouTube, if you feel anyone who feels that they missed out from the cinema experience, I don't think so. I think it was designed as a YouTube show, and if you watched it just for YouTube, you got the perfect experience.
Yeah. And if you have different opinions or different theories, or you don't agree with our theories, or you want to build on our theories, please tell us. It's very interesting to hear.
I feel the internet's going to blow up when this comes out.
Just be nice to Gooseworks. They just made a thing they wanted to make.
Yes.
Leave them alone.
Listen to what we said. They probably had 9 episodes to deliver something. And objectively, it wasn't horrible. It just didn't tie up ends we thought might have been. But that's...
It prioritized the heart, I suppose, the story.
Which was well done. I do think it's funny. We went into the movie and we were like joking about the designs I've made for it so far. And Jamie was like, I just really wish that anything would happen in this episode that would make any of our designs relevant. And like 2 minutes in, made Jax, and a few minutes in, he abstracted.
Abstracted, yeah.
Just like, there's another one.
There's another one. There's another one. And obviously, with episode 8, our love letter to Kinger and Queenie design.
I was very happy to find out that they were
They're married with 2 children.
They have little
Love
pawns
that.
of their own. They're a whole chess set. It's very cute.
Love that. Which is why I don't understand why Kane can't just fix her and bring her back. Rather than
they were afraid to change Kane's design at the end, because I was like, wouldn't it be quite cool if when he comes back and he's no longer got blue in him, he looks different, not just like a giant mouth? But I think it's because they know there's so much merchandise that they can't, because it would. I
disagree only in a sense that if they were like, we make another variant, then we can release a whole nother range of merch of this variant. Because the second that last episode came out and they had the big glitch version of him, and they were like, we've got him as a figure already and a pin and all this stuff. So I think like any opportunity to change the characters to release a new range so you can get OG Kane and Hero Kane, who's all
But
fixed.
why didn't we get a blue then? Surely.
I know.
Similarly, I thought because we Jax abstracted, right, but there was a chance that he may have been brought back. And he was being brought back after the discovery that he was going through some identity journey. So I thought they might have brought Jax back, but looking completely different based on how he wanted to identify through that. But it didn't happen.
That would have been cool, actually. Again, potential for even more merch.
Yeah.
Another Jax plush.
I will definitely watch it again.
Fact. I'm still trying to think about. I'm sorry. We're back middle of thinking about it. The tied to the piano playing. I'm assuming that is something that happened to him in his childhood, where he was forced to play the piano for his family to entertain at the house.
I also thought it could be like performatism. He's forced to perform a certain way to be accepted. Otherwise, the other people in the room scold him. So
it's the one that was locked into being in the performative one that was the one who gave Pomni access to his past. Because he was the one who was like, you can have the key. I have the key. I'm the one who's effectively gatekeeping literally this information. So I thought that was interesting.
I love how you come up with stuff. Crazy. It brings me all the joy.
My one-liners, I have them.
Yeah. Well, poor Ribbit. I feel bad for Ribbit.
Yeah.
Also, I feel bad for Kaufmo. That had no importance whatsoever.
You know what? Ribbit should have gotten Jackson and be like, listen here, bunny face. I know your secret.
Doll.
Listen, doll.
I also felt at the end like, oh, yay, they're all together. They're getting on a bus. Yay. What? But not Ribbit. Not Kaufmo. No one else. Just because Ribbit, as far as we're concerned, why would only this group of people meet up and not any of the other characters? I suppose because they haven't told us
the
what
others
Ribbit
aren't important.
Yeah, it's literally that.
Ribbit is human. We did see Ribbit enter, actually.
Yes, we
I'm like, is Ribbit a human, though? How much of this is contrived by Jax? We're getting to the deeper theories here.
Yeah.
Well, that was my final theory, which was, is this ending happening? Or is this another one of Jax's, like, because we saw his, like...
Kane. I meant Kane. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But is that ending, that's that happy ending happening? Or is that another one of Jax's, like, fear dream things we saw, where he, in this reality, he stays dead and everybody else is happy and lives their lives? Is that what this is? That was something I also thought, but I was like, no, they didn't like fully go through with that.
But then Jax won't know about all of their backstories and Facebook pages.
That's true. We could have made them.
The Facebook pages still takes me out. I'm
Instagram.
like, just scroll down the wall.
It was like, scroll down their feed.
One of the hashtags was live, laugh, love. And I thought that was very funny.
I saw that. It's like,
yeah.
Jamie has a wonderful background history with Live, Laugh, Laugh.
Horrified.
Apologies.
This is induced bronchitis on.
No. It's just my asthma. I will never not cough when I laugh, apparently. I have surrendered to this reality. This is my reality. Yeah. I'm about to abstract from it. Crazy.
Yeah.
But before we all abstract, I guess I feel like before we all realize that our real selves are living great lives out there somewhere, and we're all in this convention circus that we live in.
If only.
The Amazing Convention Circus. You need to capitalize on that.
There you go.
Sad.
Again, as we've already said, if you watching at home have any different opinions or comments or think, oh my God, I hate everything they said, I have to tell them, you know what? We are willing to have polite conversation about it. So get in the comments and tell us what you think. Did you enjoy it?
Go together. We listen. And we don't judge.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And again, thank you as always, Strawberry Cosplay and Fruit Rat Cosplay, our wonderful roaming reporters, roaming in cosplay to the cinema for us. Thank you so much for helping us hash out and giving us some extra insight that we clearly missed on. Thank you so much.
I feel so old and out of touch. Crazy.
And thank you guys again for having us on. We like yapping with you guys.
Yeah.
I tried
to.
Our
pleasure.
Yes, and for anyone who, for some reason, doesn't already know where they can find you, would you let the wonderful people at home know how they can find you online?
Sorry, I panicked.
Bye. I'm out.
Strawberry Cosplay on Instagram and on TikTok. Spell STRO berry, like strawberry.
Nice.
You can find me on Fruitbat Cosplay. That's FROOTBAT Fruitbat Cosplay.
And we are
Ringpaw. Magical text here. That's our performance duo. We go by many names. Sometimes Jack, sometimes Pomni.
Yeah.
Sometimes Funny Bunny.
Funny bunny.
Funny bunny.
And if you want to find out where you can find us, just stay tuned to the end, where you can also find out how to join our Patreon, where who knows, you might find more stuff about our reactions to this episode on there as well. That's everything from us this time. So until our next episode,
Go buy a t-shirt.
go buy a t-shirt and we will say goodbye.
Bye. I am so getting cancelled after this review comes out.
Oh, I can't bring it. All the kids are going to be like, but.